Alright, so to get started with our Twin Stick Shooter project, we're going to create a brand new blank project, including the starter content. That's going to help us later as we kind of flesh out what our level looks like. And then we'll go ahead and set up inputs, and then we will import the content that has been released for this particular tutorial set. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start off by going under the new project tab in the editor, and let's make sure that we add the starter content, give this a meaningful name. Let's just call it Twin Stick Shooter, and click create. So that part's easy, right? That's great. We've got a project. It's awesome. We've got to wait for it to load up. Now it's trying to load up on my other monitor, so as soon as that's done, I'll move the editor over and you'll be able to see. Right now it's, you know, it's just a percentage bar. It's not super exciting yet. We're not to the point where this is going to be exciting, but we're close. We're like at 96%. As you know, it takes an extra moment to set your project up when you include the starter content, so that's expected. No big deal. All right, so now we've got our project. That's awesome. Now, we also want to make sure that we include the content that was released for you to use to follow along. Now, you know, if you're building this game on your own, you'd be doing some importing right about now, right? You'd bring in some FBX files for any characters, any animations and whatnot. We're gonna skip through that primarily just for sake of ease and so that you can use some of the nice characters that have been released with the engine lately. So let's open up the zip file that we downloaded earlier on in the intro. So this is going to include, as you've already seen, the code for the C++ class we're going to do, and then we've got a couple of folders with assets. Now these need to go right inside of your content folder. So I'm going to grab my content folder here in the engine, right-click and say Show in Explorer, and that's going to open that up. So then just take these two folders together and drag and drop them in. And that's going to go ahead and move them over. We can go right back over to the editor and you'll see them. Now there's some extra folders in here, usually just as a safety precaution. I will generally reload the project as soon as I've done that sort of thing. And you do that just by going to File, Recent Projects, and grab your current project name and click Yes. Let that go ahead and rerun the editor. We can close these windows. We don't need them anymore. And let's let this do its thing for just a moment. And here it goes. Ah, excellent, and we're back. So now we've got the rest of our content. Now what we have, just so you can have a look, is we've added the UE4 mannequin, who you might have seen as of 4.8, and several animations. We've got some running animations, we have some idle animations, some walking animations, and some death animations. So if we double click on one of these, like jog forward rifle, and let's go ahead and I'll bring this over into the editor so you can see it. So it's just an animation of our character running, which will be really useful later on when we start setting up animations. Now, along with that, so we have a skeletal mesh, we have a bunch of animations. If we go under the FP weapon folder, we also have a skeletal mesh for a gun. Now this is kind of a coming soon asset. This will be released as a part of the engine the same way the mannequin was. It just hasn't been up to this point, at least at the time of this recording, so that's why it's being included here. It should be considered an asset in production, right? This is kind of a work in progress. It's not finalized, but it looks really good right now, so we're going to go ahead and make use of it now. So you're getting kind of an early access version of it. So let's close this out, and let's go ahead and set up the inputs that we're going to need to drive our game. That's often one of the first things you're going to do is establish what your inputs are. As you build your games, don't be alarmed if you find yourself needing to change these inputs later on, append to them, remove from them, etc. So just go under Edit, Project Settings, and we're going to go straight down to Input. Now, this is a twin stick shooter, right? So ideally, you're playing this with a controller, and we're going to take, excuse me, we're going to take the sort of geometry wars kind of approach, where to fire your weapon, you're just you're using the right stick. So left stick will just move the character around. Right stick will turn the character and shoot. So all we really care about are the joystick axes. So we're going to start with axis mappings. So we'll add a new axis map and expand so we can see that. We're going to call this first map Move Up. And let's add a map to it. And what we're going to map to it for starters, under Gamepad, we'll go under the left thumbstick y-axis. Now let's do Move Right. And that is also going to be under the left thumbstick, but this time it's the x-axis. All right, let's add another one. And we're going to add Look Up, which is kind of like look up toward the top of the screen. So that's kind of how you should be thinking of that. And that is going to be the right thumbstick, y-axis. And then, finally, you guessed it, look right. And we'll set our gamepad over to the right thumbstick, x-axis. Now, I did mention, or maybe I didn't mention, so if I haven't mentioned it yet, you should ideally have a controller that you could plug in to follow along with this, but I understand not everybody's going to have one of those, right? So hopefully, though, you've got a keyboard. I hope you do, because I'm going to also set up key commands to allow you to drive this game. So if you don't have a controller, you're not going to be completely hung up. So let's start with Move Up. We'll drive Move with W, A, S, and D, and we'll drive Look with the arrow keys. So it'll be a little clunky, right? Because you can only really shoot in the 4 primary directions and their diagonals, but that's okay. It's something anyway. So let's go ahead and add a new mapping to Move Up. And this will be set to the W key. So I'll just tap W or type that into the search line and select that. Let's add another one. Of course, this will be for the opposite end of that axis, which will be the S key. So we'll search for S, and there it is. Now, for the S axis, or for the S key, I'm sorry, take your scale on the axis and set it to -1, because that's the idea, right? S is pulling that axis downward. So now we can move on to Move Right. We'll add another map to that. And for right, we'll use the D key. Scroll down, there it is. Hitting D, it's awesome. And then we'll add another one. And this will be the A key. So let's see, there's the A key. I think I scrolled right past it. There it is, the A key. Awesome. It's now just as before, right? A would actually move you left. Left is the opposite of right, for those who have got that confused. I do it all the time. And we're going to take scale on that and set that to -1. And yeah, I don't know my left from my right either, so it's fine. So now we're going to do Look Up and Look Right. So let's take Look Up, and we'll add a new map to it. And we'll go under Keyboard, and you should find Up. That's the up arrow key. So we'll drop that in. And then add another one, and this, you probably guessed, will be Down. And as you've seen, we'll just take that axis and set it to -1. Finally, for Look Right, add another one, and this will, of course, get the right key. And then we'll also add the wrong key. I'm sorry, the left key. That's not even a funny joke. Don't laugh. All right, so now, of course, we're going to take left and set that to -1 as well. So here are all of our axes. We're all set and good to go. Now, the last thing I want to do in setting up our axes is actually going to make setting up, or actually playing our game a little bit easier. And I could wait and hit play and show you why it's a problem and then come back and fix it later, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and fix it now, and I'll just explain it as best I can. So if we take a look underneath our axes, there's a little Show Advanced tab here. So if I hit that, we open up our axis config, we have the ability to go under each one of these axes on the gamepad and set their dead zones. And these dead zones are a little bit high for our purposes, at least for the looking stick, which is the stick we'll use to aim the character, which is the right-hand stick. A dead zone of 0.25 will lead to a really distinct snapping feeling. As we approach up, down, left, and right, the character will snap to those directions. To keep that from happening, we're going to take the dead zone and set it down to 0.05. Now be really careful about this, right? You should probably test this with your controller. You might be tempted to set it to 0. Do not set it to 0 because that could lead to drift. So leave it down to 0.05. That'll just keep the aiming from feeling like it's snapping to up, down, left, and right. Okay, so awesome. That should be good. Let's go ahead and close this. So at this point, we have created a brand new project. We have imported our content. We did that just by using the Windows Explorer, and you'll notice that Unreal brought that stuff right in. We did restart the project just to make sure that everything was nice and clean, and then we added in all of our inputs for both of our different sticks, for all of our axes. We have keyboard and we have controller set up. So with that, we are good to go. So let's move on to the next video.